Greetings and welcome to Conversation with Tony Mobley. On Conversation with Tony Mobley today, I am talking to Ms. Florence Donald. Florence Donald is a purpose driven leader of focus on improving patient outcomes using emerging technologies, serving through virtual events, remote production, content creation, and personal productivity coaching. Welcome, Florence Donald. This is episode 5 of Conversation with Tony Mobley. This is the 5th episode of season 2, and we are back. Thanks to everyone for being a part of this new journey powered by Mimo Live. We also want to thank everyone who was a part of the old infrastructure. I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for all of your hard work. You can go to conversationwithTonyMobley.com, which is our website. And also, you can participate in our interactive chat. It's called Mukana, and it's courtesy of Alex Lindsay in 090. For the Mukana chat, which will allow you to ask your question and you have the opportunity to vote those questions up and down. And also, again, you can watch Conversation with Tony Mobley on the conversationwithtonymobley.com website. And now we are going to get started with our conversation today with Ms. Florence Donald. And we're going to say, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so glad to have you here with us today.
Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you for inviting me and having me here. I'm super stoked and excited to have this conversation with you. We've been chatting, so I feel like I'm with family. You told me I'd
Well,
be okay.
you are with family. You are
that I walked down the aisle on my own. It was during a revival. It was a Tuesday night. I had on a white dress that my grandmother had made me.
Well,
And
okay.
I've not known a time in my life where that wasn't core to who I am and how I function because like I said, we all have journeys. No one comes through life and doesn't have things they go through. And for me, it has meant that when times have been some of the toughest, I have a source that I lean on. Um, and in the career that I've had some really tough days. I came into the IT field when there were virtually no women.
Mm.
And um, I'll share the story because it. I remember when I was had to fix a problem, and all the men left and said, "We'll see you in the morning." And after I cried and after I prayed, I looked around and my thought was, okay, so this system is not working. All I can do is break it and then I'll figure out how to put it back together. And then I say, myself and the source of my strength went to work and they came in and the system was working.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
So,
Um, Thank you for sharing that.
mhm,
Please describe your role in both technology and the medical field.
varied. I have done a lot of different things from desktop technician to running the system administration team to tearing down buildings, running the projects to tear down buildings to um, turning huge data centers into offices and helping new service lines come online to treat patients. So it's been varied. I've worked on mainframes, mid-size Mac, Windows, Linux, you name it, I've probably touched it. And I don't often talk about that. So you're making me talk about something I usually hide from people. Because for the last few years, I've been in a program management role. And so they always think we don't know anything about tech. And I let them think that. And then
You
when I need to pull it out, I do.
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I knew you were going somewhere when you said, I let them think that. So,
Mhm.
have you had to pull that other shoe out lately?
Yeah, yeah. I had I it's interesting that sometimes when I will be sitting in a room and someone will talk and they'll be talking about, I'll use a few terms here, net scalers and load balancers, and they don't think I know what that means. And then I'll ask one or two pointed questions and they'll go, oh, and that tells them I know what you're talking about. I understand it and I understand what we need to get done. And then our relationship, our interaction changes because now they understand they're talking to someone who does understand. And that's the key, right? In all communication, is making sure you're talking with people and you can understand each other. Um,
And so
that's been the thing that I've done.
I'm going to ask you to explain it to me what you just
How, heck, tech stuff that is it's in networking how you get different systems to talk to each other and some of it is computer technology or computer systems where you have one and you want them to work evenly. You want to keep your performance them working fast enough and responding enough and not losing having your end users uh, wait or not have any response. That's part of it. It's other things, but it's just that simple, right? It's not super complicated. If you have two, three, four computers and you want to make sure that the work that they're doing is balanced. One is not overtaxed and the other one is sitting idle.
got you. Okay.
Like that's the simple way of thinking about it. There's more to it in the background, but simple, like the easiest way to think about it is that. So that
Fantastic.
the work that the computers is doing serves your users so that their performance is not poor or degraded.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
very
that.
welcome.
Please describe your work in the production realm.
Well, until about 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about production, like nothing, zero. I didn't own a camera. I didn't understand lights. I didn't understand microphones. But I had a message, and I was very clearly, I got the message or the revelation. Open your mouth and share with people what I've done for you. And that led me on the journey of understanding or even figuring out what this live streaming production thing was about. And through that, I've stumbled and made a lot of mistakes, but I'm slowly coming along. I'm starting to understand lights and cameras and microphones and all of that. In the midst of it, I'm delivering the message that I've been given. For me, time, if you have heard anything I say, I live by 1,440 minutes a day because it's all we have. It is the most precious and expensive resource that we have. So we can't afford to waste a single minute of it.
Absolutely. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that. I have had the benefit of hearing you talk about it before, but for those who are new to this concept, can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. The easy way to think about it is people think that if what they're doing, they're not getting paid for it, that's free time. The reality is there is no such thing as free time. You can't buy it. You can't get it back. You can't sell it. You can buy other people to do things, but as an individual, you still have 1,440 minutes in that day. So, what makes the difference between one person and another is how they use it. We have different obligations, different things that we're concerned about. We have to be intentional about every single minute. And I'm really, really intentional in that way about how I use every minute of my day. It doesn't mean I try to do more, the proverbial do more, more and more and more. No, I'm intentional about how I use it. And I help other people understand how to be intentional. Know what your goals are, know what you're committed to, and then stay focused on that thing. Let everything else go. And don't treat time like it's not valuable. You can't get it back. You can buy more cars and more houses, more chairs, more furniture, more equipment. You cannot buy more time. And that's super important to me. And maybe it comes from, like I shared earlier, I lost my parents when I was young. So time with my family, my friends, people I care about, people I commit to, having it and giving it is really precious to me. Because I recognize that the next 5 minutes are not promised for any of us.
You're absolutely right about that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's
don't,
that's
I
very
didn't mean to
powerful.
get on a soapbox.
No, it's very powerful, and I think that that particular point of view is real, and it's not anything that anybody can really deny. And so I think that some of our listeners um, will glean a lot from that perspective. I know that it sort of hit me like a ton of bricks when the first time I heard you talk about that, and so I was like, that is something that needs to be shared. So thank you so much for sharing that. Our next question is, um, let's talk about your home setup. What is it like?
It is very simple, super simple. I have a MV7 Plus microphone that's hooked to USB-C to a Mac Mini. I have a Elgato teleprompter in front of me. My camera is a Elgato face cam. I have two Godox lights in front of me. I don't have a second camera. And I actually use a really large curved monitor. I forgot the
Okay.
size of it. So I
Okay.
prefer curved monitors instead of a bunch of little ones. So I use that and just cut it up into about six pieces to see different things.
Okay. That sounds
And
very
I do
interesting.
have three stream decks.
So you got to tell the story about why you had three stream decks.
Oh, and I
You
have two
have to.
keyboards.
Okay. Now I have two keyboards too, but it's for two different computers. So
Just for the same computer.
okay. So now you have to explain that.
So the three stream decks, I started out just as I was about to start live streaming. Got the 15 key stream deck because I didn't know any different. Started using that, got it set up, started learning it, started using it for a whole bunch of different things other than live streaming. Then I was helping a church with their local services in the Zoom and was needed to figure out how to do two-way audio. Remember, this is the girl who didn't know anything about audio at all. Figure out how to get two-way audio in and out of Zoom for a portion of the service. So one day I was doing some research and I uh, read about how the Stream Deck Plus has this wavelength software. And I thought that it would do what I wanted. And so I bought it. Asked me if I'm using wavelength. No, I'm not, because yeah, that didn't work out so well. I uninstalled it and went and got loop back and watched a couple of videos and got the loop back working, which is probably what I should have did the first time. Then I said I'm a church baby and I also minister. And I realized trying to push buttons on a stream deck when I'm ministering and I'm running the production myself was not working. So I got the stream deck pedal so that those times when I'm doing it on my own, I'm ministering, I still need to be able to switch things. I use the stream deck pedal for that. So that's how I ended up with three. And I'm thinking about getting a 32 key
Okay. Now
stream
you have
deck.
to tell us about the keyboards, the two keyboards that you're
So
using for the
for
computer.
most of my um, serious work on a keyboard, I need to use an ergonomic keyboard. I've used them for years, and I have some challenges with my right hand that I've had for a very long time. And so I learned if I wanted to get through the day without my arm feeling like somebody was sawing on it, I needed to use ergonomic keyboards and ergonomic mice. Well, when I got the Mac Mini, I also got this, the Apple keyboard. Well, I hooked up both of them, and occasionally when I just want to do something very simple, I'm not doing heavy keying or anything, I'll just use the Apple keyboard. So they both sit here on the desk. Oh, and I use a sit stand desk as one of the desks that I'm sitting at now.
Okay. Okay. We have a question from Brooklyn, New York, from our friend Mike Edwards. What is your favorite aspect of your home setup that you believe helps you share your message more effectively?
My favorite aspect is it's always set up. I don't have to do any thinking to sit down and record or go live or join a Zoom meeting or anything else. I come in, I put my headsets in, I turn fire up Zoom like I did tonight, and I'm good to go. There are things I'm working on to change. I was sharing with Tony earlier. I have a skylight in the room that I'm in. It's a like a home office, but it's got a skylight here. And so I'm replacing that. And as soon as it's replaced, I'm going to put shades over it because if it wasn't dark outside, there's travesty happening with lights in my space because of that skylight. But that's really my favorite part is that it's stable. I don't have to set anything up or take anything down. It's just ready to go. And that is the boon for productivity, right? Remember that 1,440 minutes? I don't have to
Yes.
use any of them to make anything work. I hit a button on my Stream Deck, my screen is set the way I want it to be. I'm good to go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask you a question. How long have you been participating with office hours?
I think I started volunteering maybe 4 or 5 months ago, but I've been watching the show for well over a year. I don't even remember how I found it, but at this point, I think I've gone back and watched every show, including the ones on Alex Lindsay's channel that I could find.
Okay.
So I've watched and I've tried to play. And finally, I said, if I'm getting value, I need to give back. I need to use a little bit of that time to give back in a way that I can. And I started doing that. Got a long
That's
way to go, a
fantastic.
lot to learn, but I'm willing to
Yes,
do what I can.
we all do. We all do. We all
Yeah.
we all have a lot to learn, to continue to learn. And I'm going to ask another question. You brought up Alex Lindsay, so I'm going to ask you, how did you connect with him? Because he is a big fan of yours.
Oh, okay. Office hours. I started volunteering and I came to a new volunteer meeting. And then I came back to the volunteer meeting and I came to the new panel and I guess I just kept showing up. And I sometimes felt like I asked some of the simplest questions that everyone else knew the answer to but me, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And that's I just ask questions when I have them and started trying to volunteer doing a little bit in the background to support what this fabulous work that's happening out here to help people.
And you sound like Tony Mobley when you said that, ask those questions that you think everybody already knows, but you
Exactly. I'm like, I know this is going to sound so simple, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
yeah. Okay. Our next question is, can you share what platforms you are using for social media, if any?
I really use two. I have other accounts. I don't really use them. I use LinkedIn. So if anybody wants to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my primary. And then the other is YouTube. I have a Twitter or X account. Don't use it. I have a Facebook account. Don't use it. So I have an Instagram account. Don't use it. So it's either LinkedIn or YouTube or Discord in office hours
Okay. Okay.
to connect with
Thank you.
me.
Thank you for sharing that. Have you embraced AI applications?
That is such a loaded question. You set me up. You set me up. Yes, yes, I have. I recently did 4 shows with second series of using AI from the perspective of using it to enhance your productivity and how you can use it in different use cases. Professionally, I do work with AI in large enterprises regularly in healthcare, um, clinical operational type use cases, not so much the IT part of it. And I use it every day in my own day-to-day work. I've used quite a few of the tools myself. The only one, this is interesting, the only one that, well, maybe not the only one because there are thousands, but one of the ones that a lot of people in production use that I have never touched has been Midjourney. Remember, don't come from production, don't really come from graphics or anything. So I didn't find a reason for me to use it. But words, I'm a word person. So I love to write and I love the way words are put together. So I do use quite a few of the tools to enhance my writing and my research and just thinking about ideas and concepts from different all kind of angles and perspectives. So I'm not going to name apps because we could be here all night.
Okay. Okay. I do want to ask you, the house of worship that I work with, in the past, we have had some actual performances that we have done in an actual theater. I was wondering, have you had any of those kinds of experiences?
From a house of worship standpoint, or myself particularly?
What house of worship or yourself as a production person? And just to kind of give you the scenario. So we had original script written by one of the ministers in the church, and um, it was sort of at the end of the pandemic that we actually, people were starting to go back out, and we actually rented a theater and performed this Christian production in in an actual theater. So I was wondering, had you had any experiences like that for your house of worship or either production?
I have not in production. All of the production that I've done, well, no, not the majority of the production I've done has been remote. I've done a bit of in-house where I'm going into the building and managing the production there, but nothing where we've broadcast either a dance production or acting. It's that I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So
Okay. I was just curious. I just wanted to ask that question.
sure.
Um, please give us an overview of your professional work.
Uh, Program management, engagement management, working with clients in the healthcare industry, health systems, where I call it where healthcare happens. So, hospitals, clinics, that sort of place, pharmacies, and I work with them to help them create strategies, implement systems of all sizes and stripes, assessments, change control, change management. That's what I do today. As I said earlier, I've come through from working in mainframe rooms to a little bit of coding to installing PCs to running system administration systems to building buildings. So a lot of different things in technology. Some has been in healthcare, some has been in other industries. My favorite and the place that I really enjoy is in this provider healthcare space because I believe so strongly that there's so much that has to be done to help patients. When we need that care, we need people who care. And I strongly believe in that. So this is a little bit about my background. My, if you will, work history is on my LinkedIn page. It's no secret. Um, just and now I'm transitioning and doing this messaging or live streaming or content creation, whatever description someone wants to put on it to get the word out so people understand how to use their time. And I do it in my job, if you will. I do a lot of training on these kind of processes and techniques just because it helps my project teams um, get through the work more efficiently and with less stress. So they're not working 20 hours a day.
Have you seen improvement in the number of women who have embraced the kind of work you're doing now? Because I know
Uh,
you said that you were there were not a lot of people doing what you were doing when you first got started. Have you seen a change recently?
there most definitely is, but sad to say, there's still not enough. There are far too many times where I am still the only woman in the room, far more than I sometimes even want to think about. It is really common for me to be in a meeting and I'm the only woman. Um, if I'm lucky, there's another one. The other day, I was really fortunate. I was in one and there were three. 15 people in the room and there were three women.
Wow.
So, still not as many women as we would like, or in my opinion, should be. Just my opinion. Um, but it's changing. And I think I think artificial intelligence is going to move that needle faster, further, because some of the barriers of I'm not quote unquote techie, I'm sure some of the community can relate to hearing that. It's going to go away because you don't need to be. You don't have to know how to solder a motherboard. You don't have to know how to take a machine apart and put it back together. You just need to know how to think and ask good questions and give good instructions to a system. It will change the way you think. I fully believe that. One of the first things I learned, garbage in, garbage out. Computers still fundamentally do the same thing. They take stuff in, they do something with it, they spit a result back out. And if you learn to think, what do I want to get out? What do I need to put in? What needs to happen in the middle? You'll be fine. And every person can do that. Every single person can do that simple process.
Is there anything that we can do that would encourage women to be more active in the technology field?
Encourage young women to not be afraid of math and science and really help people think critically. Don't rely on the machine telling you everything. Use this, use your brain, think critically. Critical thinking is the key. There's not a machine that has yet been built that's going to do critical thinking that a human can do, that will do non-linear thinking that a human will do. So just build that capability in all young people, boys and girls. Build the capability of thinking for themselves and thinking critically, and that will lead them to these paths. Every career is having technology in it. It's been that way for a very long time. You can't be afraid of it. It's not going anywhere. Respect it, but don't be afraid of it.
Right. I agree with that. And I just want to share that our friend, office hours friend, as well as the host of Mondays on office hours, Liberty White, is doing a lot of work with AI. And also, she is working with a group of young girls to promote technology. And so that is definitely one way in which we can sort of embrace and encourage young girls to participate. And
And yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Well, everywhere we are, when we have a conversation with a niece, a godchild, a neighbor friend, uh, share with them something. And many of them, I won't say all, but many of them are walking around with super powerful computers in their hands. It's fun. Let it be fun, but help them also understand what's happening behind that screen. I've been in too many rooms where the people could tell me what's happening on the screen. They couldn't explain what was happening behind the screen. Those are two different things. What is it actually doing? Not what is it presenting to you? Help them understand what's happening behind the screen. That'll take them a long way, a very long way. And yes, I have become a super fan of Liberty White, and she learns AI. I'm actually going to go to her boot camp.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm sure she'll be glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Let's please talk about your experiences as a businesswoman.
Simple. Just helping people on this journey. I have formed my own community. I'm having them have people coming to me to coach them in techniques and help them through their systems, um, set them up, understand how to use their tech, how to set up workflows, how to use it's really for me. And I'm going to say this for me, simple techniques. And I realize what's simple to me, it's not simple to everyone, but use simple techniques to make their workflows work for them. And in that, just coaching them and forming a community where people come together and practice these skills together and share with each other. I'm a huge again, I love and believe that people have to help people. There's no amount of technology in the world that's going to replace that. People have to help people. And we learn from each other if we're open to it. And so, from a business standpoint, starting this production live streaming journey, started forming this group. Folks just started asking me to help them. And I did. And then it was like, okay, now I need to build this community. So I built an online community and other assets and features are coming out of it. Blogging has come out of it and continuing to live stream. And now I'm trying to learn a little bit about video editing because people are asking me to put stuff together for them to to further the message. So that's really been it. It's I've done some form of business and being in the consulting industry, it's all about business. You've got to know how to talk to people and understand what their problems are and help them solve it. So as a consultant, I do that every day.
What is your preferred? I know you're just getting started. What is your preferred video editor right now?
I'll let you know when I find out. I've tried different ones. I've got Black Magic software. I've got Menvo. I've got CapCut. I've got like all the stuff, right? And because I'm new to it, I'm tinkering a little bit with each of it to say, okay, how does this resonate with my brain? Because it has to work with the way my brain works. So, how does this thing resonate with my brain? I'll learn the storytelling part as I go, because that's a whole separate level of understanding the storytelling and how to put the message together so that it's smooth and it resonates with the audience. But right now, I'm learning the buttons and which one of these things work with my brain. And I did get some advice from the office hours family, and I'm almost settled on DaVinci Resolve
Okay.
as a result of that. Just because it was like, you know what, if I'm gonna have to go all in on something, I might as well. And I've tinkered with all these other little part things, and they have limitations that I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
I didn't hear you mention Final Cut.
No, I haven't tried Final Cut.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I'm going to say before you I am not let me preface this by saying I am not a Final Cut user, but a lot of people that I highly respect love Final Cut. So I'm going to say take a look at it before you make a final decision on your video editor.
Okay.
Um, are there any projects that you can talk about?
Depends on where you're talking about. Where?
Well, let me do this. I'm gonna turn the question around a little bit. Can you talk about what you're doing as far as your ministry is concerned?
Sure. So I shared that my ministry and a couple of others, I do remote production with them primarily. So, for example, in October, I will be helping a ministry uh, produce videos every day. This ministry does twice a year, does a daily devotional with the Book of Proverbs. So a group of five, six, 10 different people will record videos. Then in October, I'll be helping them get those put together, put bumpers in and whatnot, and then put those up. So that's a project that I'm planning right now and working with them. I also have the privilege of being asked to help remote produce for a major CEO a hour long webinar that's going to happen in November. So I'm working on that, and we're starting to meet with his team and working through the details. I think I have a meeting tomorrow, in fact, with them, um, to help them. But that's going to be, and internally won't be public facing, but it's internal to his organization. He's going to be doing a webinar. And that came out of the things that I'm learning on office hours. I remember I didn't know anything. I watched office hours and hit a few buttons, and here I am. But it came because I'm learning the skills, and I'm not afraid to tell people the skills. And I show up differently on camera than what they're accustomed to seeing.
Absolutely.
Not that it's, where it will be later, but it's different. It's not the
I understand.
bad
I understand.
microphone and the potato
I
camera.
I
So, yeah.
understand. Yes, yes, I understand. Let's talk a little bit more about your participation in office hours. You said that you're doing volunteer work. What
Mhm.
else are you doing? And what
Well,
kinds of volunteer work are you doing?
um, of course, I volunteer in ministry. I volunteer with my homeowners association. Have been doing that for quite a few years. I also am a Toastmaster and do volunteer work at multiple levels within the Toastmasters organization. In fact, starting to work with another gentleman, and we're going to add a show to my channel talking about communication and leadership. And I'm excited about it because all the technology in the world doesn't change if a person A cannot communicate effectively, and B, if they're going to lead one other person beside themselves, they need to understand leadership principles and skills.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We have a
Mhm.
question from Laura Thompson of Beaumont, Texas. And our question is, can you share how to find your YouTube channel?
Sure. It's at Equip Institute, and you'll find me there, youtube.com/ at Equip Institute.
Thank you, Laura Thompson, for that question.
Thank you, Laura.
Um, we're getting down to the end. So this is the next to last question. What is next for Florence Donald?
What's next for Florence Donald? Just continuing to grow these skills that I'm building with production and understanding it, getting better at messaging and spreading the word of what I'm passionate about, because it's core to who we are as people, using that magical time and continuing to build relationships and continuing to work with in healthcare. That's really what's next for me. It's where I spend almost all my time and
Thank
having
you.
fun. I'm enjoying it. It's fun for me.
I can tell. I can tell that it's fun for you. That
Yeah.
there's this sort of a glow that you have about um, when you're talking about what you're doing. There's an excitement. There's a glow that sort of radiates from you. That
Oh,
you can tell that you're enthusiastic about what you're doing. So I'm going to say congratulations and amen on that.
thank you.
Um, and so we're down to the last question. And this is a question that I typically ask everyone. You're speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know?
Simple. Be intentional about that 1,440 minutes you have. Don't waste it. Love the people in your life. Do the best that you can and be open to learning every day in every conversation.
Thank you
The
so
world will be a
much.
better place.
Thank you so much, Florence Donald,
Thank you.
for being here with me today. You can watch live on YouTube and on my website, Conversation with Tony Mobley. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by valued audio visual professionals who meet daily on Office Hours Global, hosted by Alex Lindsay. Thank you, Mimo Live and YouTube. conversations with real people. Stay tuned for new episodes and great conversations with Conversation with Tony Mobley. We want to thank everyone for the 100 plus episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And when you have time, we ask that you go back and look at the now 100 plus episodes. And we think you will find something that you like and hopefully is helpful. We want to thank Florence Donald for being a part of our conversation today and for doing the work you do, doing and being the person who you are. Conversation with Tony Mobley series will return next week, September 25th, 2024, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Christopher M. Clark, PhD. We will have a conversation about the state of education, homeschooling, online learning, teacher preparation, and much, much more. So we ask that you continue to support Conversation with Tony Mobley by liking and subscribing. We want to thank everyone for being a part of this conversation today, and we want to thank the team for all of their great work. Please like and subscribe. And if you care to, you can go to conversationwithtonymobley.com. There is a donation page where you feel free to donate to the work that we are doing. We want to say take care, God bless. See you soon. Good night.